Welcome guys to the Q with Q. It's me, your host, Quentin R. Giles, and today we're going to be talking about the pardons, or the lack thereof. For the past couple of months, we all have been wondering, is Donald Trump going to pardon himself, his children, child, and is he going to pardon Rudy Giuliani, who's running amok all across the country, or was running amok all across the country? And we saw President Trump leave the Oval Office without pardoning himself, his children, or Rudy. He issued a whole bunch of other pardons, but not for them. So I just want to take some time to talk about why he did not pardon himself and really the damage that he's done with pardoning war criminals, political cronies, and people who some suspect decided to cover for him in criminal investigations, and the pardon was their reward. People like Paul Manafort and Roger Stone and Michael Flynn. So let's get into all of that right now. A lot of people watched it, but nobody's watching day to day, all day, unless you're me and just love this stuff. Procedures are okay, but we want to know, where do you stand? And so I think the more that politicians stop trying to be politicians and be people, then that will engage voters. We reject alternative facts, so come on in here and let me educate you on the facts. So typically when we have a president who uses a pardon power, or even if we think about, how the framers wanted the pardon power to be, it was to be used on someone who was repentant of their crimes, who had served, a sentence that was lengthy. And maybe now we view that type of offense not as egregious, kind of like after the war on drugs, if you will, back in the day. We're looking at certain offenses with drug use and marijuana and saying, maybe these hefty year on year sentences is not something that we should do. And they've been a model prisoner, not getting into fights, not doing anything illegal in jail, because there are some things that can be illegally done in jail as well that tack on more time to prison sentences. We're like, yeah, let's wipe some of that away and let's reintegrate them into society, right? We just didn't see that from this president. Trump was like, I'm just gonna do whatever I want to do, and it is what it is. I think for me, the most damaging part was looking at people like his former national security advisor, Michael Flynn, or his political ally, Roger Stone, or his campaign manager, Paul Manafort, who all in some ways has been suspected of not fully cooperating with prosecutors when they were criminally charged with their various crimes that somehow connected and linked to Donald Trump, i.e. the Russia investigation. It's just very sketch, very elbow rubbing, very good old boys club vibes that I got from the fact that these people allegedly, and we have to say allegedly because, well, no, we don't have to say allegedly. We don't have to say allegedly because some of them got, the judge said guilty. So some of them were convicted of crimes against the state, and of tax fraud and all these other things as well, right? That we found out in the process of the investigation. And they decided not to flip on Donald Trump, kind of like Michael Cohen did, who basically let us know that Donald Trump is individual number one. We haven't forgotten about that. We are definitely going to be looking at the new DOJ to bring that back up, because that was a whole campaign finance violation, a whole campaign finance law violation at that. So we need somebody to be looking at that, who individual number one was and what he did with the money, with the Stormy Daniels of it all and all that shenanigans. But to see Trump basically issue out this grand authority that he has, issue out these pardons to these people, is a miscarriage of justice. That's not what this pardon power was supposed to be used for. This pardon power was to be used in a merciful and a just way. Not only did he pardon those political allies, he pardoned war criminals that committed indecent acts under the banner of America. And I know, y'all know I'm first to say it's a lot of indecent acts that are committed under America, but it says something internationally when you would pardon people who would indiscriminately shoot and kill civilians while we're over there for quote unquote war, or to keep the peace, or whatever the case may be, and you pardon them. What you're essentially saying is, we are okay with that type of action. Like I said in the beginning of this video, typically that is going towards a repentant person, someone who has apologized, who has served a sentence, and we view sentences or review convictions in a different light. I don't know anyone that's like, oh yeah, shooting those civilians. Nah, that's cool. Go ahead and do that. Like, where they happen at? I mean, maybe in the insurrection crowd that happened at the Capitol, maybe that's over there, but nobody that I run in circles with has ever just been like, yeah, shooting in a crowd of people who ain't doing nothing but minding their business. No, that's okay. Oh, you killed a few people? No problem. You know, we'll try to get you off. Like, that's just not a thing. And I think it did real damage to this power because you have people now looking at it like, should a president even have this power? Should there be a check on the power? There are processes that are in place that a president was supposed to go through. What we've learned through this Trump presidency is that it is not a lot of laws that puts a check on the president. It's really just norms. And to Trump's defense, which I rarely do this, a norm is just a norm. Anybody can break it, right? Anybody can do whatever they want to do. Now, I don't agree with a lot of the stuff that he did, but he showed us, he brought it to the forefront that these are norms. And so maybe we need legislative action to put laws on the books so that a president cannot do these types of things. Now, the biggest pardon that we were all looking for was he gonna pardon himself? Was he gonna pardon Ivanka, Eric, you know, the other children, Rudy Giuliani? Child, I don't think I'm gonna ever forget Rudy Giuliani and that hair dye rolling down his face. That just, that disturbed me. That's all I'm gonna say about that. I'm not talking about the man, that just disturbed me. I said, he's not well. No, he's not well. We need to do something about this, baby. Get him a 5150. For my psychiatric consultants and my people in the psych field, you'll get that joke. But we were wondering that, and what we saw was Trump leave office without pardoning himself, his children, or Rudy Giuliani. It was reported that a lot of people basically were trying to tell him, if you pardon yourself, someone is going to challenge that. Some U.S. attorney is going to challenge that. Even potentially the new DOJ, with Merrick Garland being the attorney general, may challenge that. And if they challenge it and it goes up to the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court says that you pardoning yourself is unconstitutional, then that opens you up to a lot of legal liability. I believe that same argument was used against his children and Rudy Giuliani, saying don't do this, because if they challenge it, saying, you know, you're potentially trying to cover up a crime that you all committed in some type of way in collaboration, it could fall, and then it opens you up to all this other legal liability. Now, keep in mind, although we have this norm, which we've seen for the past 4 years can be broken, of not prosecuting past presidents, I don't know that that's going to be the case with this one. And so one might have made the case that you probably should have flipped a coin and rolled the dice and pardoned yourself, right? Because there was a 50-50 chance that it either would or would not stand, right? At this point, I don't see any way Letitia James down there in New York City, the state of New York, she's the state attorney general. Sometimes I get a little excited. I don't see how she does not go after him. We've seen her go after the foundation and tear that down to the ground. They can't even own and operate a charity in the state of New York because they were using it corruptly. But a lot of people wondered, you know, did they not try to press criminal charges against them, because per the OLC opinion in the Department of Justice, you can't prosecute a sitting president. Now, keep in mind, that is the state of New York, and the state of New York and the Department of Justice are two totally separate things, but they could have just been operating under that precedent. But now that Trump is a normal citizen again, I know New York is going after it. We already seen the Manhattan District Attorney, Cyrus Vance, go all the way up to the Supreme Court to get his taxes. They're going to go after him. They are totally going to go after him criminally. And I would say there is going to be a real appetite in the Department of Justice, even under Merrick Garland, to say a president cannot do these things. A president and a president's family cannot do these things. And there is going to be calls to actually investigate to see if any crimes were committed, and if so, to prosecute, just like you would do any other person. So I am personally surprised that Trump did not pardon himself. I was like, wow. Oh, you think you got it that well? But, you know, with him and his power of positive thinking, maybe he just does think that he has it that well. I don't see it though, niece. I don't see it. I see prosecutions coming, not only criminally, but civilly. And we know the pardon power doesn't protect you from civil liabilities. There's been talk about, that insurrection attempt and people dying. Could Donald Trump and the people that spoke at that rally, the people that organized that rally, could they be held liable civilly, meaning money damages, for the deaths of those people? Should those people's estate, families, connected to them, next of kin, decide to sue? Did your actions lead to the death of these people? Even if we can't make a criminal case, there's always going to be civil liability there, right? And pardons don't absolve you from that. So there is definitely a civil track going, but I am totally shocked that they did not pardon themselves. At least his children too, though, right? Even if his pardon was challenged, one could have made a case we didn't do anything collectively criminally, so there's nothing to really get them on. It's a lot of logistics of it all, but I was really surprised that he didn't pardon them either, or Rudy Giuliani. Baby, somebody going after Rudy Giuliani. So we'll just have to stay tuned. Baby, I thought about Rudy Giuliani and that hair dye again. That hair dye it makes me uncomfortable. I believe he's unwell. I don't know. Somebody check on him. But we'll stay tuned and see what kind of criminal process happens. We're still waiting on the impeachment trial to happen, which that should be coming about within the next week or two. I will be up on it to see what happens to Trump criminally from the federal side and the state side.